Hello and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. Well, we did it, everyone. We finally hit 100,000 subscribers, and I absolutely can't believe it. It feels amazing to have this VR family all around us. Whether you've been watching for the past year or this is your first video, welcome and thank you for everything. This community is probably one of the most supportive and positive thinking out there, but we've still got work to do. So once again, thank you all and much love for 100K, and here's to the future. But now let's get right into the news. I'm sure that some of you have heard the rumors and leaks around the new Oculus headset and controller that have made the rounds recently through an official Oculus leak, codenamed the Del Mar and Jedi controller respectively. Of course, we know practically nothing about either of them, but a recent Oculus firmware update has given us more insight as to some of the features that may be on the newest Oculus touch controllers. And let me tell you, if you're on the Oculus side of things and you've been wanting features like finger tracking like the Index's Knuckles have, it's possible that this firmware update will make you very happy. According to an analysis by Upload VR, this firmware is referencing the new codename Jedi controller. One thing that is interesting is the consistent terminology of controller, singular that is. I'll get into what I think that means, if anything, in just a bit though. Right now, the firmware shows the Jedi controller to have the same inputs button-wise as existing controllers, but in addition to the existing capacitive sensors already on the touch controllers, that being on the thumbstick, buttons, and triggers, an analog capacitive sensor is also referenced, and that has its own code name, Rainier. Given the verbiage used, this is very likely a sort of mashup of capacitive sensors on the grip itself, similar to what we see on the Knuckles and Eti controller that are used for finger tracking. These both use analog capacitive sensors to accomplish that job. Other improvements to the controllers can be seen in haptics. I'm not sure if many noticed, but if you have the original touch controllers, the vibrations used in them are actually stronger and more precise than the new touch controllers. While the old used a linear actuator similar to those seen in a Nintendo Switch or the Knuckles, the new use a standard vibration motor that we have in all standard gamepads. The Jedi does mention a whole new style of haptic driver of some type, and this likely will be an improvement over the standard vibrations that we have in the new touch controllers. And finally, we may be seeing far better tracking accuracy. The current generation touch controllers work by flashing IR LEDs on the tracking ring, which are picked up by the headset's cameras. Right now, your controllers flash or update the location of the controllers at a frequency of 30 Hz or 30 times per second. The Jedi doubles that to 60 Hz or 60 times per second, and also includes a far better inertial measurement unit, the thing that actually determines the speed and orientation of the controllers. All in all, these are just some great updates to an already pretty good controller set. I have no specific gripes with the Oculus Touch at this time, but better is always better. And now for the speculation, the Del Mar and the Jedi controller. What are they and what could they really be? Well, the Jedi was initially thought to be a specific Beat Saber controller, which makes sense given the name, but having the full range of button controls may rule that out. If the Jedi and Del Mar are actually connected, it could point to the package being the Quest Pro that everyone has been asking for, and it may be possible that these new Jedi controllers with supposed finger tracking and improved overall tracking are backwards compatible with existing inside-out Oculus headsets as well. Of course, like I said, this part is speculation and should be taken as that, but at this point, it's kind of what these early leaks are pointing towards. As always, if new information is put out there, I'll be talking about it here in the coming weeks. Now, historically, projects like these are announced at either Facebook's F8 or at the event that occurs every fall called the Oculus Connect. Last year, I was actually able to attend Oculus Connect 6, where the Oculus Link was announced. It was at this event that I got to meet a ton of VR game developers, as well as other content creators in the VR YouTube scene, and it's where I practically decided to work as hard as I could to make more content for this channel. All in all, it was a very inspiring experience to be around thousands of people that love VR just as much as I do, and dedicate their lives to it. Well, unfortunately, Oculus Connect 7, which was set to take place later this year, has been cancelled, and it will take place in a digital format rather than the usual in-person gathering of thousands from across the world, which makes sense given the world's current situation right now. I mean, the event isn't for months, but you can never be too safe. It will still likely be at Oculus Connect 7 or the digital version of it that we will hear officially about what exactly the Del Mar and Jedi are. Just this time around, you won't be getting any on-site coverage of the event. But real quick before we get into our main topic, which is related to that, it's time for a meme break! break! Me spends all my money to finally buy an Oculus Quest. Wow, this is amazing. Wanna try out my Quest? Siblings be like, don't you mean our Quest? And now, back to the news and our main topic today. I've been talking about event cancellations and stock shortages for gaming and VR-related things every Tuesday for the past few months now. The outbreak of COVID-19 has absolutely ravaged the world economy, families across the world, and has likely affected your day-to-day life in some shape or form. But amid all the absolutely terrible things, our industry, the gaming industry, and VR in general, has felt a pretty massive benefit. Stocks are up for everything gaming and internet-related, and player populations in actual games are up as more people are at home in self-isolation. For the first time ever, news outlets almost all across the world, big or small, are praising and acknowledging VR for being awesome right now. It's the perfect thing to escape reality for even just a few minutes. Being stuck at home and being able to hold meetings or social gatherings or just play some immersive VR games can really help pass the time. And lately, I've seen some pretty funny contradicting comments on an old Tuesday Newsday titled 2020 is the year of VR. It ranges from I've come from 2020 and I've got bad news to yep, because we're all stuck at home. And both are kind of valid. At the time, VR was slated to absolutely explode in 2020. At the end of 2020, VR had the biggest spike of new users it had ever seen. So what exactly happened? Turns out the VR industry is actually facing a massive problem right now, one that I didn't expect and I don't think anyone else did either. The demand for VR right now has massively outpaced the supply. 2020 is the year of VR because, well, a lot of people's reality is comprised of being stuck at home in isolation, completing schoolwork or actual work from the confines of your house. In some places, it's against the law to even leave your house unless you have official business to do so. Right now should be the time VR is used most and should be most appealing to just about everyone on the planet that can afford it. And prices were even slated to match up with that increased demand. An Oculus Quest, while still expensive at $400, is only $400 for the entire VR setup, cheaper than we've seen in the past by a large margin. But people just can't get their hands on one. If you've been on the search for a headset, you'll either be chasing links all over the internet to retailers having stock for mere minutes before being sold out, or be forced to go to resellers and scalpers selling headsets for 2, sometimes 3 times the MSRP. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty massive issue at the moment. And I've seen the sentiment thrown around that VR may just miss its shining moment right now due to these problems. But I disagree. While this is probably one of the biggest hiccups we've ever seen in the industry so far, it's kind of a good problem to have. Right now, there are few industries that are thriving. The US oil industry is currently crashing. The automobile and airplane manufacture industry is on the brink of collapse. The airline industry is in shambles. Sit-in diners are having to find new ways to survive, but VR has the issue of not being able to manufacture enough headsets to meet demand. Some places will try and convince you that this will kill VR, as people will give up and forget about the whole thing, and that this was VR's chance to become a household staple as other consoles are. I'm sure you've seen the articles all over the place stating that according to a litany of studies, this whole pandemic is going to greatly affect the way our society works for the foreseeable future. Businesses will operate differently, social interactions will be more home-based than they are now, and gaming will continue to incline. There's nothing that Oculus or Valve can do right now about their shortages other than make as many headsets as they can, and believe me, they're doing just that. What I'm trying to say is that even though we're missing out on the very real possibility that was incredible mass adoption during this time right now, and the very real proposal of using VR headsets as mass homeschooling devices right now, it's okay. We'll get there. This isn't a train that the VR industry missed. It's more so people all over the world realizing that virtual reality itself is a train that they need to hop on. We just gotta make more of them to fit everyone on. And now on to some gaming news. Today, Swords of Gurrah has launched in early access. I talked about the game last week as it's one that I've watched closely over its course of development for nearly the past year. It's one of the first games I've seen really handle close quarter combat in a multiplayer setting correctly. And I've recently learned that game modes like Capture the Flag are coming to it as well. As a celebration for 100K, the developers are giving the ThrillSeeker community quite a few keys for me to give away. I'll be doing that on stream today, pretty much right after this video is posted over on my Twitch, as I'll also be playing a few rounds if you want to check it out. So stop on by for your chance to win a free key. In terms of other game releases, Pixel Ripped 1995 is releasing in just 2 days on Steam. Oculus Quest, Rift, and Viveport. This is a super fun nostalgia trip and essentially a sequel to the beloved Pixel Ripped 1985. This game does have a primary storyline, but the main gameplay is focused on the evolution and progression of gaming from the 16-bit to the 32-bit era. All in all, it's just a fun continuation of an indie VR franchise that I love and have spent quite a bit of time in the past. If you're interested, go ahead and wishlist the game on Steam or check it out on the Oculus Store, set to release April 23rd. I'll also mention that there's a collectible in-game that is an homage to this channel, so if you happen to find it in-game, let me know. So Bethesda has a history of porting their flat games to VR, for better or worse. Fallout 4, Skyrim, and a version of Doom VFR, have all come to VR, and it was promised back in 2018 that the Elder Scrolls Blades would also be coming to our platform. If you don't know what the Elder Scrolls Blades is, it's a free mobile game set within the Elder Scrolls universe, currently out for iOS and Android. The game was supposed to be coming to all VR platforms soon, including the Quest, but when asked about the progress by Upload VR, Bethesda said that they have no update on the progress. This likely means that the project has been abandoned, and we may never see Blades come to VR at all. I guess that's okay though, as I don't want it to become some sort of new trend that mobile games start getting ported to VR. We already have enough short, simple games, we don't need them to be riddled with microtransactions as the mobile market is. But I would have personally really enjoyed playing Blades on the Quest, and I think it would have made for a fun, light Elder Scrolls experience on the go, since you can't really play Skyrim on the Quest unless you plug it into a PC. But now it's time for question of the week from Wolfbomb. Have you ever played Minecraft, VR or not? Yes, I actually really love Minecraft. I played quite a bit way back in Alpha 1.2 to 1.2.3 and a little early beta. But as I got older, I kind of stopped playing Minecraft as much, which I do wish that I didn't, because I missed a lot of what happened through the updates. VR has actually gotten me to come back to Minecraft though, which is awesome. During my last 24-hour stream, I spent about 17 hours of it within Minecraft VR, with an attempt to slay the Ender Dragon in one go. We were unsuccessful after a few full-hearted attempts, but I still had a great time. And I come back to Minecraft VR every now and then. Make sure to leave your own question of the week below. I may just answer yours next. Could be about anything. And that's the week's news. Stop by in my Twitch stream today for your chance to win a Swords of Gurrah key and for just a good old time. Also, join in my Discord for some VR discussions. I want to give a massive thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas like Zimph, Very Evil Shadow, and Benji. I literally couldn't be doing any of this without you. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.